If you guys want to close deals faster and increase your closing percentage, as well as not give away the strategy for free to prospects that probably aren't the right for you, this is the episode to check out. I have my really good friend Ian Garlic on the show, and he's going to walk you through some of his framework that has made his agency and many other businesses very successful. So let's get into the episode. Hey, Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jason. I'm super excited to talk about this. We've been working on it for a while. A lot of people have been asking about it, and I think it's a game changer. So I'm really excited to share this.
Yeah, I mean, I still think there's a lot of agencies out there, including, about probably 25% of the people, in the agency mastermind with us that probably are not doing a foot in the door, and they're selling their core service, or they're selling their retainer first, which, is leading to a longer sales cycle, and a lot less conversion rate. But before we get into it, for the ones that have not seen you on the videos or heard of you yet in the audience, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Ian Garlic, obviously. It is Ian, not Ian. And Garlic is really my last name. I've run our digital agency, our marketing agency, Authentic Web, for about 11 years now. I've been in agency world for about 15. I worked for a Fortune 50 company as a marketing consultant before we started Authentic Web. And, we work with doctors, lawyers, dentists, the usual, but also a lot of coaches, consultants. We have some big names in the business consulting world as our clients, and we've developed over the years. And, with Authentic Web, we, tell businesses stories. We help other agencies too, with video, with what we call case stories and their about us stories. But over the years, I've started to help other agencies and other videographers, and that's why we launched StoryCrews, where you can find videographers trained in marketing. And, because I can't do everything, none of us can do everything, and I like supporting other people. All the mistakes I've made over the past 15 years and all the things I've learned and invested in, I love to support people. And, I've developed this foot in the door framework over what we call the storyboard blueprint, but over the past 10 years. Actually, it's been in some incremental development over the past 10 years, and constantly improving it, and I'm excited to share it today.
Awesome. And let's kind of dive into it around what is a foot in the door for the people that don't really or let's define what is a great foot in the door.
Yeah, I mean, so a great foot in the door. Well, a foot in the door is, first of all, what it sounds like. It's something to get you in, and it's a smaller cost, no brainer. And that's one of the big criteria. It should be something that's very obvious, that's it's very simple for someone to buy. It's in their price range. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to take it back to a group. There's a lot of security in it. We make ours 100% money back guarantee. So there's a lot of security in it. It splinters off of your current services. I think one of the big mistakes I've made in the past too is adding a service as a foot in the door that doesn't logically lead into the next service. So it should be a splinter from current service and an obvious continuation into your services. A lot of things, you can probably find one inside of your business that will do it, but you want to make it more robust, easier. And it lets people feel what it's like to work with you. So, if you're doing something that doesn't get them to actually interact with you, it's not a great foot in the door. You want them to interact with you. You want them to become your client for this lower cost. And it lets them, feel and see. So they can see what it's like, but also feel if you're a good fit. It should disqualify bad clients. And, because the foot in the door can save you from doing $100,000 project with someone you just hate. And also, and most logically, internally, it sets your team up for success. And that's what a great foot in the door does, is sets your team up. So when you're done with this, you got paid for it. You're not spending time on proposals that you don't get paid for. But also on the flip side of it, once the project's launched, the project's smoother, it's faster, it works better. and it takes you out, you and your sales team out of the process ongoing, and is a logical handoff to the rest of the team.
Yeah, and it really, like we always joke around that Don Draper, actually got it wrong. Where if you think about that show and typical agencies where you come into a pitch, you're giving away your best strategy for free, and you're not getting paid for it. And I think a lot of people, they're like, well, I have to do that in order to get the meeting. I have to get I have to build rapport with them. But there's a way in order to do that and actually get paid for it and actually have even more of a chance to win. So what are, I guess, a lot of times people struggle with actually selling their foot in the door and positioning it. So what are some things that the listeners, that are listening right now, all of one, no, I'm just kidding. The millions of people listening right now, or let's say the billions, let's be realistic. Okay. The billions that are listening. We want to help those billions because we know out of the billions, maybe millions will do it. I'm just joking, but, what's an easy way, or what's a couple steps that they can do in order to position and sell the foot in the door?
Well, the foot in the door should, it should be lining up with, you should have alignment in there. And that's something I talk about a lot, is that should have alignment, and you should be aligning with their goals, getting to know their goals, and being like, okay, I know your goals. I know where you want to go. Let's do something to take that first step to getting that goals. And it should reposition yourself from an order taker to a strategist. And that's what, why we developed the storyboard blueprint. But and if you do those two things, you align with their goals and go, okay, I see what your goals are. And I understand where you are, and I see what's happening here. Let's do the next step and make the plan, or let's do the next step and the next logical small step and do this one thing that will get you there. And it's a lot lower price than a full-blown website. It's a lot lower price than a full-blown, $50,000 video package. It's a lot lower price than a giant SEO campaign, but we'll take that first small step together. And when you do it that and position it that way, it really, if you're like, hey, I know you want to get this client and you want to be in this place in the next 18 months. Here's the thing that will do, start us. Do you want to do that? I'm trying to think of the last time someone didn't do the foot in the door with us. We had a 90% close rate in 2019. I haven't looked at it, 2020, but it's that simple. It's just you have to have a process in place. So you can't just go sell the foot in the door. You have to have a good discovery process, and then you have to figure a way to align your foot in the door with their goals and show them that it's the logical next step. And when you do that, and then you make it a money back guarantee, then it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, what I've always done in the past, when we started figuring out this framework at the agency, is we'd be like, look, and we would start off by asking the right questions, right? Like you were kind of hinting toward, of going, where do you want to go? Where are you at now? It's kind of like, right. And then there's a bridge. And then I'll always go, well, based on what you told me, here's where we need to go. And I would say this is part of our success process that we have. And I would say, based on what you told me, this is what I recommend us sitting down for an hour, 2 hours together. And I think that's key, which a lot of people mess up, where they sell a splinter service off, which is basically an audit. And I think, like, no one wants to get audited and tell how bad they are. And so, like, the typical SEO agencies will run it through Moz or any of the software out there,
Yeah.
get their reporting, and then they'll try to review it with the prospect. But what I found, and you found this, and all the clients that we've walked through this, is when you walk them through and you're engaging, you're asking the right questions, and they're building it with you, and you're helping them build it, they're going to believe it. And that's so much power too, because now you're spending this valuable time with them. So then you can figure out, like you said, do we want to continue going down this path of working with them? And they're probably thinking the same thing as well, versus all the other agencies are going, yeah, we'll get you a proposal for that. And then they really are only judging you on paper and the
Yep.
strategy that you lay out. And I also like what you said of going, well, there's a money back guarantee. And I know a lot of people are thinking that if you do that, well, how many in the past 20 years, Jason, have you refunded? And there's two. And I always joke around. I go, one was, I have nothing against Russians, but they didn't speak a lick of English, and we were on a strategy session, and they had a Russian translator on. So I don't know what this Russian translator was communicating. And then the other one was just a scammer, which, but that was in 20 years. But
But
I
that,
always say,
you
yeah,
found that. You found that instead of going down the path of big contract, oh, that scammer, taking back $20,000, $30,000 from you, right? You found that out early on.
exactly. Yes. Yeah, I eliminated that. And then also, too, the cool thing about it is there's not a long proposal process. I don't even have to do a proposal for the foot in the door offer. Like
Yep.
literally, it's like, hey, I'll do this for 2,500 or 5,000, or we've had foot in the doors for 20 grand. It just doesn't, it's irrelevant. Or we'll have foot in the doors for 100 or 500. That's probably a lot of people are thinking like, what do you need to charge for it? But like, it's just something very easy. That's an easy decision, which is going to be a
Mhm.
faster decision for you moving forward. And then especially like I'd always lay it out, and this is probably how you lay it out too, Ian, is going, look, there's three outcomes. You'll love the plan, you go do it yourself that week, right?
Yep.
The second one, you love the plan, you want to work with us, which is the most common. Or third, you don't agree with the plan and I'll give your money back. So there's really nothing for you to lose. And it's like you said, 90% close rate. So let me ask you a question. How, from the foot in the door to the next part of the offer, right, that you want to really sell them, what's the
Mhm.
close rate for you that you've seen?
Well, if overall about 70%, there were a couple that really quickly we realized that we're not going to do a project with them. Like, hey, you guys should go do this yourself. And there's a couple that have been like, you should go do this yourself. And I'm like, I'm going to charge you a ton of money to do this. And they're like, we want you to do it. And I'm like, well, I doubled my rate because these people were going to be a PETA, right? And and they were, but you get paid for it. So we're about
Describe PETA.
a pain in the ass. It's the PETA fee, because we all have those, right? And you might be, someone on the other side of this might be a pain in the ass and is willing to, and they know it, and is willing to pay more. I'm listening to Steve Jobs' biography. He paid more for people. He was a pain in the ass, but he got the results. So, there's nothing against that. It's just that we know it's going to take a lot more work. But yeah, because most of the time, I would say a majority of the time, I don't know the percentage, but by the time I'm getting done with the foot in the door, our story, what we call the storyboard blueprint, and we're presenting it and going, here's the plan, and here's what you should do, and here's all the messaging, and here's what your homepage should look like, and here's what the about video should look like, and here's the case stories we need to collect. And they're like, this makes so much sense. And now I realize how much work it is. And we've made this together. It makes so much sense, but I need you to do this for me. And I'm not even closing them at that point. They're just like, please, here, take my money. Let's get this done. Right? Because if you're doing a proposal, you're holding back. No matter what, if you're just doing a traditional proposal, you're holding back strategy. So they're not being clear on it. You're like, I'm going to do X website and this and this and this, and they don't get it. And then they're just comparing, like if you're doing website design, they're comparing website design to website design. They don't get what all goes into your website design. And you can list it out, but they haven't spent 2 hours with you, like you said, really going through each of those components and putting it together. So with this methodology, by the end of it, they feel it, and there's really not sales at this end of this. It's just like, here you go. Here's the stages. Oh, you want to go faster? We can move some of this stuff to stage one. It's too much. You move some of this stuff to stage two, and let's test it out. And there you go.
Yeah, I've also seen with our clients over the past couple of years using, this framework of selling the foot in the door and really, doing it the right way, they're able to charge a lot more on their retainers.
Oh yeah.
And they're able to, which if you guys want more predictability in your agency and you want to have an agency that possibly that you can sell one day, you want predictability and long-term contracts, and you want at the higher price. And so think about if you work with someone and you are building a plan with them, you're going to build trust. And if they tell you to go do something and this needs to be what we do at this price, you're going to believe them. So now you can charge higher amounts. We've seen this all the time,
All the time.
and for a long-term contract, which is predictability, for you, which we right now we don't have, much predictability other than complete chaos. It seems like, but that makes the world go round.
Yeah, but no, but to your point, and a little technical, you can create a self-liquidating offer, meaning if you charge $2,500 for your blueprint, you have much more predictability to being like, I can spend $2,500 in ads to get a foot in the door, and knowing that, hey, yeah, I'm break even, but I got a project on the back end. So you think about that. Imagine if you could spend $2,500 and knowing that you acquire a client, how much could you be putting into it? And you close 5 of those a month. Now you're putting $15,000 into ads, $20,000 into ads a month, knowing that, not being scared, where's that money going to go? Is that going to close? Because I've got a 6-month waiting time, because you're closing those in a week or 2 weeks. So you get that predictability. Plus, you don't have to have a super highly skilled salesperson, to be selling your big projects. To sell a $50,000 project it takes a lot different person than to sell a $2,500 money back guarantee. So you can scale up your sales team and get yourself out of sales really, really quick too.
Yeah, I know. We learned that many years ago, with one of the mastermind members, Jack, and a lot of people struggle with finding the right salesperson at that right price that they can afford at that moment. And when all they have to do is understand how to position the foot in the door, who is the foot in the door for, and how to sell it, and the follow-up, I mean, it just speeds up and makes your life so much easier. And then you can have your account team. Also, we've seen, like, with clients all over the world, where even with performance-based agencies, they will do a foot in the door and a test project to make sure to see where can they get a lead for, like, how much is a lead worth to a client, as well as how much can we get a lead for, and then they'd be like, oh, we can make a ton of money on this, in this test project. And the last thing I'll say on this before we move on is, at the end of the day, whatever price you charge to your prospect buying this, especially if it's on the lower end, make sure you tell them why, because I don't want them to think this is your normal rate. So if they spend an hour with you and you charge $250, they're going to assume you got a $250 hourly rate. I would just say, look, we're doing this just to make sure that people are serious. We're doing this, we're actually losing money on this. And be like, our rates are much higher, and you want to make sure you qualify them for the next engagement, not just qualify them for $250 or $2,500 or whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, there's so much that you can do with it, and it changes. When you change that buy cycle time, your marketing, your sales completely revamp. It becomes so much easier and so much more predictable. And there's people. I just closed a blueprint. With COVID, we were still doing blueprints, and a lot of our deals didn't close as fast. But at least I had cash flow coming in, and sometimes it's 3 months, 4 months, but I could still put that cash flow back into ads, into sales, instead of going, oh my God, stuff's not closing because of COVID, right? So,
well, and I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times people think to do a foot in the door, you have to be in person.
No, you don't. I mean, I don't even, I prefer not to do them in person, because I want to share my screen. I could, one thing I teach about is, poking holes in their marketing, and then also being the doctor. So, one thing is, a doctor, like you were talking about, you go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, you're kind of fat and you kind of need to lose weight, but I'm going to help you, right? If the doctor just goes, you're fat and you need to lose weight, you don't like that doctor. But if they're like, hey, I'm on your team and I'm going to help you, then you like that doctor. It's like, yeah, I know this stuff. And that's what you need to be doing. And that's what a foot in the door allows you to do. And that's why I like being able to share screens and not have presentations, right? And not have whiteboards. It's like, I can record all this, and then they get the recordings and everything else too.
Yeah. in wrapping up, before we talk about, the foot in the door framework, of where they can go to really kind of dive into the process that you've developed over the years, tell us or give us a couple criterias that make a great foot in the door.
Well, like I said, one big one's it's an obvious continuation into your services. So, if you're doing SEO services and it's review software, is it an obvious continuation or is it just review software? But then also review software, are they going to feel like what it's like to work with you personally? So I like something that they get to spend a couple hours with you and your team. Um, so they see and feel what it's like to work with you. It sets your team up for success, which is a big one. That is a huge criteria, because you want it to be, you don't want this to be this jagged thing that just, okay, we did this one thing and now we're doing a brand new thing and the team has to learn all about it. So that's where, you can learn as much as possible over hours. And even one of the things we do is, in our blueprint, when we do a storyboard blueprint, we bring then our video manager in, who's going to be their account manager in for that review, and they get to know them for an hour, right? So it's like, boom, we're setting that person up for success. And one of the things I like too is it's the continuation into not just this project, but you're showing them what's going to be like to work with you down the road for years. So you're setting up years worth of proposals in this, and you're working together. So those are some of the major criteria that I consider for a great foot in the door.
That's great. Well, one of the things, the reason why I wanted to bring Ian on was just to walk through just a very high level to make sure that you guys really think, if you aren't doing a foot in the door, or even if you are doing a foot in the door, there's a way to structure it. And there's a way that you can do it where you can close at the 90% rate and higher, and then lead to the other services. And that's why we really took a lot of time. And, this has been years in the making. Like, we've started talking about this a long time ago, and we've helped a lot of people going through this framework. And I want you guys to go to check out footinthedoorframework.com. And it's amazing program that Ian's put together. It's all micro videos. So if you guys have gone through the agency playbook and you like the short bits, how many videos did we create? Was it like 30 or 40?
No, I think there's like close to like 60 or 70 in here.
Yeah, it's crazy, but they're really quick, and they come with checklists and like, this is what you need to go do. It's very easy to follow along, and it keeps your attention going forward, so you can actually close those deals faster, win the deals that you want, stop giving away that strategy that you want. So I want you guys to go to footinthedoorframework.com and go check it out. Now, Ian, tell me some of the success stories. Why don't you tell Jeremy's success story of going through the framework?
Well, my Jeremy Weiss was doing this for Rise 25. Well, they weren't doing a foot in the door. And I'm like, you need to do a blueprint. And I'm like, I sat down with him. We spent a day designing it. And within, I think, a month, they started selling them. And, with a year later, it's transformed their business. I mean, really resulted, I think, in millions of dollars worth of sales for them, because it shortened their sales process. And you can ask Jeremy, he raves about it. I don't know anyone that's done this and implement it that hasn't had success. We did it with a few of the video agencies that we were training, and I just taught them even just how to, before they even did their foot in the door, before they did our blueprint, I just taught them how to sell it, and they're like, wow, that transformed our sales process. And it was like, boom, it transformed their sales process literally in one phone call. And that first part, that discovery process. And one of our other people that went through our video agency training did 50 grand extra the first month, and I think did $250,000 in sales from it in 2 months during COVID. So and that's, if you have a sales team, you can scale it up really, really fast, but it will transform your business. And we see people in the agency mastermind talking about it, how it's transformed their business over and over and over again. It will make your life a lot easier. And here's the other thing: it is not a slimy sales technique. it is actually providing you will provide a better service for your clients. So they will be much happier. My clients are much happier on the other side. So it's not just this powerful sales technique that doesn't get results. It makes your clients much happier, makes it more obvious, and does a thing called future pacing. It shows them, they start to see what it's like to work with you and see themselves working for you. And that's why we get that close rate. It makes them much more certain of working with you. So when they actually sign on the dotted line, they're happier, which I love.
Yeah, and one of the stats that we did many years ago was, if someone's going to give you money and they have a good experience, they're 10 times more likely. Let that sink in, everybody. 10 times more likely to pay you again. And if you
Yep.
guys want that edge over all the other competitors out there, and you guys want to beat out the competitors, and you want to be the choice rather than a choice, you guys really need to think about, go to footinthedoorframework.com. Go check it out and really read through everything in there. But if you want a step-by-step process to follow, a framework that you can build upon and see what is exactly working for Ian's agency over the past 10 years. And it doesn't matter if you're a social agency, SEO agency, a web development shop, a creative shop, PR, like, you can do this. If you're a surface-based company, it's going to walk you through step by step, and I can promise you, it's going to change your sales process, speed it up. We've just seen the results over the years, and we've always been comparing notes on this, and that's our goal, right? Is, with this podcast, to be that resource we wish we had. Well, this is the number one resource we wish we had right here.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, it took me 10 years to develop it to this point. I'm constantly refining it, constantly working on it. Every one I get off of, I improve it just a little bit. And that's what you got to do. But you'll get all that. Yeah.
awesome. Well, everybody, thanks so much, Ian, for coming on the show again. You're always welcome, even though we make fun of each other all the time. So make sure you guys go to footinthedoorframework.com, check it out, jump in, go through it. I promise you, it will change the trajectory of your agency. So until next time, have a swank day.